Well, Happy New Year. And we made it through 2025. I can't say we made it in one piece, though, because a lot of America got torn apart, didn't it? A lot of our Constitution got torn apart last year. But I think JD Vance might be our savior. He might be the one to save us from MAGA. And I'm going to show you how. Look at this poll from the Economist the YouGov poll. This is favorability of individuals, JD Vance. And look at this. He is viewed favorably by 37% of the people, of US adult citizens, of all Americans, not just Republicans. And he's viewed as unfavorable by 50%. Okay, this is not a great standing in the polls. That's not a great way to kick off your presidential campaign in a couple of years, which it looks like he's planning to do. But there's even something better. Look at this from the same poll. This is asking people whether or not they are a MAGA supporter. And this is all adults, not just Republicans, but this is everybody in the country. Now, you've heard most Republicans support MAGA, majority of it, 90% of Republicans support MAGA, and we all go crazy like that's terrible. But Republicans don't really make up, the whole American population. And MAGA is getting less and less popular with them too. So look at this. Looking at the total population of all US adult citizens, are you a MAGA supporter? Only 23% say yes and 65% say no. Now, this is the trick, and this is where it comes in where JD could save us from MAGA, because everybody thinks JD is going to be the Republican nominee. And he's popular. He has a plurality of the support right now with among Republicans within the party. And I think he's at 47%, and everybody else is trailing behind him. So he is the front runner right now. And that's going to cripple the Republican Party if my prediction is correct. Everybody's making their New Year's predictions right now. And I'm going to take a gamble and make a prediction for 2 or 3 years into the future. So, the farther out you predict, the more likely you are to be wrong. So we'll just take this with a grain of salt. But here's what it looks like the scenario might be. JD ends up being the nominee for the Republicans. JD will be like Kamala Harris when she had to toe the Biden line and defend Biden. He's going to have to do that on steroids. He's going to have to defend Trump, defend everything Trump did. And I think by that point, Trump will be so unbelievably unpopular look, MAGA is already at only 23% support and 65% against in America. So that means if JD's towing the Trump line, he's towing the MAGA line, and people are going to hate that. 3 years from now, I believe they're going to hate that so bad during the 2028 campaign. And he's going to have to tow it, though, because a quarter of Republicans are supporting him because they think he's the one who will continue Trump's policies. So if he gives up that and turns on Trump in any way, shape, or form, he's going to lose a quarter of the support among Republicans, and he can't do that and win an election. So he's pretty much doomed from the start, I would say. Plus, he's not that great of a campaigner. He's tremendously uncharismatic. And, he made just here's an example. He made one big mistake recently when he spoke at Turning Point USA, and he was trying to unite all the fragmenting sides of MAGA. Everybody's falling apart now. They're splitting into different factions. There's the Candace Owen faction and the Tucker Carlson faction and the Stephen Miller faction. And he tried to unite them. That's a big mistake. JD, don't you know what party you're leading? This is not the party of uniters. This is the party of purists. You got to be pure or you're the enemy. So that was a huge mistake because these people all have a very fundamentalist mindset that says if the other side is wrong on even one tiny little thing, you must have absolutely nothing to do with them at all, and it means war. If they're wrong on one little thing, oh, they're wrong on taxes. Oh, they wanted to raise taxes 3% too much. No, we can have nothing to do with them. They're liberals, they're Democrats. I come from a fundamentalist background and mindset, so I know how they think. I used to think this way. If somebody disagreed with me on 1% and agreed with me on 99%, I thought they were out. Anyway, fortunately, I've learned better and grown out of that. But this is what MAGA is all about. You got to be pure. You got to be a purist. So when Vance was saying we need to unite and have a large umbrella and bring everybody into the tent, here's each side of that. Here's what each side of that heard. They heard the same thing. What each side heard was that JD is okay with the other side. But each side considers the other side the enemy. They can now never accept JD because they view him as siding with the enemy. He tolerates the enemy. How could they? Could a MAGA person tolerate a Democrat? No. Well, that's what they think about, their own factions. Can you tolerate, if you're not on the Tucker Carlson side, can you tolerate his side? No, you can't. Ask Steve Bannon. Anyway, that's how the fundamentalist mindset works. And I think that's going to kill him. That's really going to kill him. There's no way you can try to unite this party. And if you try to act like a uniter, a lot of people are going to think you're just too woke, dude. You got it. You're out. Like, I can never support you. And that's good for America if they think that. Anyway, when JD said he wanted to unite the party, that was red hot. That was like Trump saying, "Don't stop worrying about the Epstein files. Why are you bothering me about that? That's over. That's not a topic of conversation anymore around here. We don't talk about that anymore." Then there's a problem with JD, poor JD, having no charisma. And actually, none of these guys have charisma. If you notice, Marco Rubio, Ron DeSantis, JD Vance, none of them have any charisma. Uh, I think they're all cooked. But you know what I'd like to see in 2028? And this is pure speculation, but this is how at this point right now, on January 1st, 2026, this is how I see it possibly playing out in a couple of years. I would love to see Vance and Rubio run together. Vance for president, Rubio for vice president, because it's my working theory right now that anyone who's remotely attached to the Trump regime is going to be radioactive in 2028. And these two people would be the dream team for those of us who want to see MAGA die on the vine, because no other pair will be perceived as being more closely aligned with Trump and his failed and despised policies by that time than those two, JD and Marco Rubio, so closely associated with Trump. They are going to be as radioactive as he will be. Um, they may think that Rubio and JD would be their dream team, but of course, everything in their world is upside down. So their dream come true will actually be their nightmare, and their nightmare will be our dream. So anyway, that's kind of my take on what might happen in a couple of years based on what we see happening now. I just think the country's going to be so fed up with this regime in 2 years. Honestly, I don't even know if politically Trump will be able to make it for the next 2 years. I think the anger could rise so high, and especially after 2026, the elections, uh, I think the anger could rise so high that he may not even make it through his term. Impeachment, I don't know, but he will surely be a political lame duck for, I think, starting very soon, hopefully. Anyway, everybody keep up the pressure on your congressmen and your senators, especially the Republican ones. Those of you in Republican districts who don't support this, let them know that. Contact them all the time. And let's keep this momentum going. All right. Happy New Year. I'm Jonathan Burton. I appreciate you listening. If you liked what you heard, click subscribe. I'd love to have you on board, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.